My mother-in-law replaced my wedding dress with a cheap one. "This suits you better," she said. I smiled. "You're right." I tore it in front of everyone. The guests were in shock and she was speechless. "Man, you guys are not going to believe this. Wild ride I'm about to take you on. Like, seriously. Grab some popcorn and a Coke, because this story about my wedding day is absolutely insane. I'm still processing everything that went down, but I need to get this off my chest. So picture this. I'm getting married to the love of my life, right? We've been together for 3 years, and this dude is absolutely perfect for me. He's got my back, makes me laugh until my sides hurt, and honestly treats me like a queen. The only issue? His mom. Oh boy, his mom. From day one, this woman has been on my case about literally everything. My job at Target wasn't good enough, my apartment was too small, my friends were too loud, my car was too old, you name it, she had something to say about it. But my fiancé, bless his heart, always stood up for me. He'd tell her straight up that if she couldn't respect me, she wouldn't be part of our lives. That usually shut her up for a hot minute. When we got engaged, she immediately tried to take over the wedding planning. I'm talking full control mode. Venue, flowers, catering, guest list, everything. But we shut that down real quick. This was our day, not hers. We were paying for it ourselves with money we'd been saving up for 2 years, working extra shifts and cutting back on everything just to make our dream wedding happen. The dress shopping was supposed to be this magical experience, you know? I'd been dreaming about finding the perfect dress since I was like 12 years old, watching those wedding shows on TLC with my mom. We went to David's Bridal first, then hit up a few local boutiques. Nothing was jumping out at me until we walked into this little shop downtown. There it was, hanging on the rack like it was waiting just for me. This gorgeous A-line dress with delicate lace sleeves and the most beautiful beadwork I'd ever seen. The moment I put it on, I knew. The shop owner even teared up a little when she saw me in it. My mom was crying, my best friend was crying. It was perfect. The price tag was steep though, like really steep. We're talking $1,500, which was basically our entire dress budget plus some. But you know what? Sometimes you gotta splurge on the things that matter, right? This was my wedding dress, the dress I'd wear when I married my soulmate. So we put it on layaway and I worked extra shifts at Target for 2 months straight to pay it off. I'm talking doubles on weekends, picking up every holiday shift available. My feet were killing me, but every time I thought about that dress, it was worth it. The whole time, my future mother-in-law kept making these little comments. "Are you sure you want something so fancy? Seems awfully expensive for one day." I got married in a simple dress from JCPenney and we've been married 30 years. Classic guilt trip stuff, but I wasn't having it. This was my choice, my money, my day. 2 weeks before the wedding, I went for my final fitting. The dress fit like a glove. They'd taken it in perfectly at the waist and hemmed it to just the right length. I felt like a princess, no joke. The seamstress wrapped it up in this beautiful garment bag and I took it home, hanging it carefully in my closet. Every time I walked by, I'd peek at it and get butterflies thinking about walking down that aisle. The night before the wedding, we had the rehearsal dinner at this little Italian place downtown. Everyone was there. Both families, the wedding party, close friends. The vibe was perfect. Everyone was laughing and having a good time. Even my mother-in-law seemed to be in a decent mood, which honestly surprised me. She was being almost nice, asking about the timeline for tomorrow and offering to help with last-minute stuff. After dinner, she pulled me aside and said she wanted to do something special for me. She'd brought a garment bag and wanted to surprise me with something borrowed. You know, the whole something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue tradition. I thought it was sweet, honestly. Maybe we were finally turning a corner in our relationship. She handed me this garment bag and said, "I thought you might want to wear this instead tomorrow. It's more practical and honestly, it suits you better." I was confused but opened the bag anyway. Y'all, what I saw in that bag made my blood run cold. It was a dress, sure, but it wasn't my dress. This thing looked like it came straight from the clearance rack at Walmart. I'm talking cheap polyester, wonky stitching, and a style that would have been outdated in 1985. The lace was obviously fake, and there were already loose threads hanging off it. This dress probably cost like $50 max. Update. Holy smokes, guys. The response to this is incredible. Some of you are already guessing what happened next, but trust me, you're not ready for this level of drama. The question everyone's asking, did I actually wear that hideous dress down the aisle? I stared at this nightmare dress for a solid 10 seconds, my brain trying to process what was happening. Then I looked up at her, and she had this smug little smile on her face like she'd just done me the biggest favor in the world. "Where's my dress?" I asked, keeping my voice as calm as possible even though inside I was freaking out. "Oh," I returned. "It," she said casually, like she was talking about the weather. "You'll thank me later. $1,500 for one dress is just ridiculous. This one will work just fine, and you can use the money for something more important, like a down payment on a house." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. This woman had gone into my apartment while I was at work. She had a key for emergencies, taken my dress that I had paid for with my money, returned it to the store, and replaced it with this abomination. "You returned my dress," I repeated, slowly, still trying to wrap my head around it. "I did you a favor," she said, that fake sweet voice she used when she thought she was being helpful. "Trust me, honey, this suits you much better. The other one was just too fancy for someone like you, someone like me." Let that sink in for a minute. My fiancé came over at that point, probably wondering why we were having such an intense conversation in the corner. When I explained what had happened, his face went through about 5 different emotions in 2 seconds. Shock, anger, disbelief, more anger, and then this weird calm that honestly scared me a little bit. Mom, tell me you didn't actually return her dress, he said in this super quiet voice. I was helping, she insisted. That dress was way too expensive and completely inappropriate. This one is much more reasonable. The argument that followed was epic. I'm talking raised voices, tears, the whole 9 yards. My fiancé laid into his mom like I'd never seen before. He told her she had crossed every possible line, that she had no right to touch my things, and that she owed me a massive apology and the money to replace the dress. But here's the kicker. The shop was closed. Until after the weekend. It was Friday night and we were getting married Saturday afternoon. Even if they had another dress in my size, which they probably didn't since it was a sample, there was no way to get it in time. I locked myself in the bathroom and cried for like 20 minutes. All that work, all those extra shifts, all the excitement and anticipation, gone. Replaced with a polyester nightmare that looked like a Halloween costume. When I came out, my fiancé was pacing around like a caged tiger, still arguing with his mom. The rest of the family was pretending not to listen, but you could cut the tension with a knife. My own mom looked like she wanted to throw hands, which honestly would have been entertaining to watch. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about a dress. This was about control, about putting me in my place, about showing everyone that she could manipulate our biggest day and get away with it. She probably thought I'd just suck it up and wear the ugly dress because what choice did I have? But you? Know what? She picked the wrong girl to mess with. I walked over to where she was sitting, still acting like she'd done nothing wrong, and picked up the garment bag with the replacement dress. Everyone got quiet, probably expecting me to storm out or have another breakdown. Instead, I smiled, like, really smiled. You know what? I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. You're absolutely right. This dress does suit me better. Her face lit up like she'd won the lottery. See? I knew you'd understand once you thought about it rationally. I unzipped the garment bag and pulled out that hideous dress, holding it up for everyone to see. It suits me perfectly, I continued, because it shows everyone exactly what kind of person you are. And then I grabbed that cheap polyester nightmare by the neckline and ripped it straight down the middle. The sound was incredible, like tearing a paper bag, but louder. The fake lace came apart like tissue paper, and within seconds I had reduced that dress to a pile of synthetic scraps on the floor. Update. You guys are blowing up my DMs asking for more details about everyone's reactions. The silence in that room was deafening. But the aftermath? Chef's kiss. But wait, there's more drama coming. What do you think happened when we showed up to the wedding venue the next day? The silence that followed was absolutely deafening. I'm talking crickets level quiet. Everyone was just staring at me with their mouths hanging open like they couldn't believe what they'd just witnessed. My future mother-in-law looked like she'd seen a ghost. Her face went through this amazing color progression, white to red to purple, and for the first time since I'd known her, she was completely speechless. No snarky comments, no fake concern, nothing. Just pure, unadulterated shock. My fiancé started slow clapping. I kid you not, he actually slow clapped like we were in some movie. Then my mom joined in, then my best friend, and pretty soon half the table was applauding. The other half looked like they were watching a car accident, but in the best possible way. Well, I said, brushing imaginary dust off my hands, I guess I'll be wearing something else tomorrow. Thanks for the suggestion, though. I grabbed my purse and walked out of that restaurant with my head held high, leaving behind a pile of polyester confetti and one very stunned mother-in-law. My fiancé caught up with me in the parking lot, and I thought for sure he was going to be upset about the scene I'd just caused. Instead, he wrapped me up in the biggest hug and told me that was the most amazing thing he'd ever seen. Apparently, his mom had been pulling controlling stunts like this his whole life, and nobody had ever stood up to her like that. We spent the rest of the night calling every bridal shop within a 50-mile radius. Most were closed or booked, but we finally found this little place about an hour away that stayed open late and had a few sample dresses in my size. The owner was this sweet elderly woman who'd heard about our situation through the bridal shop grapevine. Apparently word travels fast in the wedding dress world. She had this gorgeous off-the-rack dress that was absolutely perfect. Different style than my original dress, but beautiful in its own way. More simple, more classic, but it made me feel just as special. And the best part? She only charged us for alterations since she said any woman who stood up to a crazy mother-in-law like that deserved a break. We were up until 2 in the morning with her seamstress, getting the fit just right. I felt like Cinderella getting ready for the ball, except instead of a fairy godmother, I had a badass shop owner who believed in standing up to bullies. The wedding day itself was absolutely magical. The weather was perfect, the venue looked incredible, and all our friends and family were there to celebrate with us. Well, almost all of them. My mother-in-law showed up to the ceremony, but she looked like she'd been crying all night. She sat in the back row instead of the front where she was supposed to sit, and she barely made eye contact with anyone. During the processional, when I walked down that aisle in my beautiful new dress, I could see her face just crumble. The ceremony was perfect. My fiancé teared up when he saw me, the vows were beautiful, and when the officiant pronounced us husband and wife, I felt like the luckiest woman in the world. All the drama from the night before just melted away, but the real fireworks happened at the reception. During the cocktail hour, my new mother-in-law tried to corner me near the bar. She was clearly working up the courage to say something, probably some half-hearted apology or attempt to smooth things over. "Sweetie," she started, using that fake sweet voice again. "I hope we can put last night behind us. I was only trying to help." I looked at her for a long moment, sipping my champagne and enjoying the fact that she was squirming under my gaze. "Help?" I repeated. Is that what we're calling stealing and returning someone else's wedding dress now? She flinched like I'd slapped her. I didn't steal anything. I was being practical. You know what's practical? I said, loud enough that several nearby guests turned to look. Learning boundaries, respecting other people's property, understanding that your son is married now and you don't get to control his wife. Her face started turning that familiar shade of red again. How dare you speak to me like that at your own wedding? How dare I? I laughed, and I could hear the edge in my own voice. Lady, you messed with the wrong person. This is my wedding day, in my dress, celebrating my marriage to your son. And if you ever try to pull something like that again, you'll find out just how much backbone this girl from Target really has. The conversation ended when my husband appeared at my side, clearly having overheard at least part of it. He put his arm around my waist and looked his mother dead in the eye. Mom, we talked about this. You owe my wife an apology and $1,500. Until both of those things happen, we're going to keep our distance. She opened her mouth to argue, but he held up a hand to stop her. I'm not negotiating on this. You crossed a line and there are consequences. Figure out how you want to handle that. Then he guided me away to greet other guests, leaving her standing there looking, lost and confused. The rest of the reception was incredible. We danced, we laughed, we celebrated with all the people who actually mattered. My husband's dad came up to me at one point and quietly apologized for his wife's behavior, saying he'd tried to talk sense into her, but she was too stubborn to listen. He slipped me an envelope with some cash to help cover the cost of the replacement dress, which was honestly really sweet. Update. Okay, friends, this is the final update, and boy, oh boy, did karma come calling. Some of you predicted what would happen with the mother-in-law, but I bet you didn't see this twist coming. Ready for the ultimate mic drop moment? The best part of the whole evening was watching my mother-in-law try to save face with the other wedding guests. Word had gotten around about what she'd done. Apparently my cousin has a big mouth and told everyone at her table during dinner. By the end of the night, people were literally avoiding her. I saw her trying to make small talk with various relatives, and they'd all find excuses to walk away after like 30 seconds. My new sister-in-law, who had always been kind of neutral in family drama, pulled me aside and told me she was proud of me for standing up to the family bully. Apparently, her mother-in-law had pulled similar stunts at her wedding 5 years ago, but she'd been too scared to say anything. She said watching me tear up that dress was like watching someone slay a dragon. After the wedding, my husband and I went on our honeymoon to Hawaii, a trip we'd saved up for by working those same extra shifts that paid for my original dress. While we were lounging on the beach in Maui, sipping Mai Tais and not thinking about family drama, my phone started blowing up with messages. Turns out my mother-in-law had tried one more power play while we were gone. She'd called the bridal shop where I'd gotten my replacement dress and tried to return it, claiming there had been some mistake and that she was authorized to handle my wedding purchases. The shop owner, remember that amazing woman who'd stayed late to help us? Told her exactly where she could stick that authorization. But wait, it gets better. The shop owner then called several other bridal shops in the area to warn them about this woman trying to mess with people's wedding dresses. Word spread through the local bridal community faster than gossip at a high school reunion. My mother-in-law was basically blacklisted from every wedding-related business in town. When we got back from our honeymoon, my husband's whole family dynamic had shifted. His dad had apparently had a come-to-Jesus conversation with his wife about her controlling behavior. Several relatives who'd witnessed the rehearsal dinner drama had also weighed in, telling her that what she'd done was completely unacceptable. She finally broke down and called to apologize, but it was one of those non-apology apologies. You know the type. I'm sorry you felt hurt by my actions instead of, I'm sorry I was completely out of line. She also tried to make it about her own feelings, saying she just wanted to feel included in the wedding planning and that she felt rejected when we didn't take her suggestions. My husband shut that down real quick. He told her that feeling left out didn't give her the right to steal and return other people's property, and that she needed to take some time to think about whether she wanted to have a relationship with us based on respect or not have a relationship at all. 3 months after the wedding, she finally sent a real apology letter along with a check for the full amount of my original dress, plus extra to cover the cost of the replacement alterations. The letter was actually pretty good. She acknowledged that she'd been controlling and manipulative, that she'd been threatened by the idea of sharing her son with another woman, and that she knew she needed to work on herself if she wanted to be part of our lives. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Fast forward to now, almost a year later, and things are so much better. My mother-in-law and I aren't best friends or anything, but we have a cordial relationship based on mutual respect. She's learned to ask before offering opinions, and I've learned to give her the benefit of the doubt sometimes. We even went shopping together for my sister-in-law's baby shower gift last month, and it was actually kind of nice. My husband says I changed the entire family dynamic by standing up to her that night. Apparently, she'd been steamrolling everyone for years, and nobody had ever called her out on it. Now his dad speaks up more. His siblings don't just go along with her crazy schemes, and family gatherings are way less stressful. The funny thing is, I kept a piece of that ugly dress, just a small scrap of the fake lace. I have it tucked in my jewelry box as a reminder that sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, even when it's scary or uncomfortable. Every time I see it, I remember that moment when I decided I wasn't going to let anyone make me feel small. My husband and I are doing amazing. We bought a house 6 months ago. Turns out when you're not spending money on replacing stolen wedding dresses, saving for a down payment goes a lot faster. We're talking about starting a family soon, and honestly, I'm not worried about the grandparent situation anymore. My mother-in-law has learned her lesson about boundaries, and if she hasn't, well, she knows I'm not afraid to make a scene. The best part of this whole story? That original dress I'd fallen in love with? The shop owner called me a few months after the wedding to let me know they'd gotten another one in my size. Apparently, it had been a special order that fell through when the customer changed her mind. She offered to sell it to me at cost since she felt bad about what had happened. I bought it. Not because I needed another wedding dress, but because sometimes you deserve to have the things you dreamed about, even if the timing isn't perfect. It's hanging in my closet now, and maybe someday I'll wear it to renew our vows, or maybe I'll save it for a daughter if we have one. Either way, it's mine, and nobody's going to return it without my permission. So that's my story, guys. Sometimes the best way to handle a bully is to show them exactly what kind of person they are by letting everyone see their true colors. And sometimes, when someone tries to make you feel small by taking away something that matters to you, the pure best response is to show them that you're too strong to be broken by their petty games. Thanks for coming along on this wild ride with me. Marriage is good, the house is great, and my mother-in-law knows better than to mess with my stuff. Life is pretty darn perfect right now, and that ugly polyester nightmare of a dress, it made the best confetti I've ever seen.